What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 5 of the Crypt. It has been a long time since we've recorded. Between other things, Bisher, you were a little under the weather and the timings didn't really click. Welcome, as always, Bisher. Good to see. What time is it over there?
Thank you for having me, Alex. It's great to be on the show. Right now it's 5 o'clock, or just about 5:30 in Australia, and we're just loving life and getting ready for the merge.
And we're just getting the party started at 11:30 Abu Dhabi time. So I wanted to just start off straight away talking about a few equities which the past 2 weeks I've had my eye on and I've actually purchased, and why I think they're a phenomenally good strategy. So as you know, the past week we've had some earning calls in the US markets, and one of those earnings calls was for a company called Roblox. Now, Roblox is a computer game essentially, but some of the data about the users, especially in the United States, really piqued my interest. So one of them was that there's 37.1 million daily active users that play this game, which is obviously an online game, so people can be involved with it from all over the world. But what even broke my head even more was that 3/4 of all American kids between the ages of 9 and 12 regularly play Roblox. So those were statistics which really blew my mind. Anyways, they had their earnings call. They missed their earnings call, even though the daily active users was actually not that bad, considering we've moved out of a situation where we're all stuck at home to summer holidays, kids traveling with their families, etc. like that. So I saw a massive opportunity when the market sold off, and I came in and I bought 100 shares of Roblox. I think it was around 6 or 7 days ago. I believe I got in at $42. From then, it's up a little bit, which is encouraging, even though there was kind of some sell-offs in Coinbase, even though Coinbase has obviously been flying recently on the news of BlackRock getting involved. But yeah, I'm keeping my eyes also on Unity software. I think that that's going to be a very interesting play coming up. And overall, you know my stance when it comes to the metaverse. I think this is the next big frontier. I think that the web crash that happened in the late 1990s, when you had Amazon for pennies, etc. I mean, look where they are now. And I think the same kind of situation is going to play out when it comes to metaverse.
Yep.
What about you? What are you working on?
Man, my attention has been exclusively on Ethereum over the last few weeks. I think that's where I guess most crypto market participants' attention has been, and for good reason. I'll just share my screens very quickly and give you some context, just so that way you can see what I'm working on.
Before we start, are we out of winter? Are we out of crypto winter? This is a question that everybody is asking. Everybody wants to know. Honestly, from my side, it feels like spring, bro. It feels like spring, but I can't see the summer yet.
Look, I'm trying to be optimistic. I've always told you in our previous chats that I'm a perennial crypto bull, but there's a lot of things that aren't looking too attractive at the moment. I'll explain my reasoning in a moment. I don't want to get too doom and gloom on the post, or on the chat today. But essentially, we've got to try to be really balanced. I'll touch on what I was referring to in terms of what we're looking at in Ethereum land, what's happening there. I want to keep it brief because I know that people are busy these days, and I want to give it to them the hard and fast. So let's check this out, right? So let's just jump into ETH here. I want to show you guys something on the weekly, right? Just let me know if you can see my screen, Alex.
Yeah, perfect. Loud and clear.
Excellent. So here we go. All right, so check it. So this is ETH, right? On a weekly, this is going back to, data going back to 2017, right? Which is what we're trying to look at here. So check this out. From swing high, blow off top in 2017, 2018, ICO mania, we went down 75%, right? And that was a pretty brutal sell-off. From here, which was the whole 3AC, Celsius, Voyager debacle, right? We went from 3.5 all the way down to just shy of just above 880, 888. So that was a 75% sell-off, right? So there's confluence there between the speed of the sell-off and how much we sold off, right? next fact, right? This is just data, right? What we're dealing with here. The rally from low to high following the subsequent crash was up 133%, right? Now, Alex, you're a numbers guy. How much of a percentage swing up do you think we've seen recently?
100. Okay, hold on. 135.
Yeah, so it's 100, pretty much 133, right?
Now, is that
So
a
that's
coincidence?
like, now, obviously, that's a pretty crazy fractal, or there was like this old adage that we were talking about on the trading desk this morning that history, doesn't repeat, but it often rhymes. So if we check this out,
I
right,
like
in
that.
terms
I
of
like that.
in terms of the sell-off that we had seen here, obviously this was crypto winter. We had seen from that local swing high another 89, let's call it 90% sell-off. Now, the things are different. There's obviously the merge and everything, but there's a different set of economic circumstances as well, which are technically a lot worse than what we had seen before. So if things were to play off in a similar light, not saying that it has to, but if it was to follow, it would take us into that 180 pocket for Ethereum, right? 185 from these current levels.
Yeah.
Right. So again, that's to say if it was to continue, doing its thing and selling off and everything, look, we could very well be different this time. The merge can be successful, macroeconomic conditions clear, things get to become normal, geopolitical tensions wane or subside and become easier, and we could just head up. That could happen. But the reason why I'm saying it's better to be cautious is that these bear market rallies, answering your question that you asked before about are we out of the crypto winter, they can sucker in a lot of people, right? And unless you're, holding spot, which is never a bad spot to be in if you're a bull, if you're a crypto bull, you don't have to necessarily lever up and lose your stack. You can just look at buying spot and nothing could go wrong other than, the value of that going down. But if you're holding for 5-10 years, then you can weather dips a lot better. Or you can put in bids into the market or limit orders into the market a lot lower in the hopes that you can catch it, but catch a drop in prices. But yeah, the reason why I'm not too calling the end of a crypto winter is that there are things like that we have to be mindful of. And even if we look at, say, BTC, for example, if we were to kind of quickly touch on that before we shoot back to what you're looking at on your trading end, is that if we just jump in here, right, we've really struggled with this 25K handle. I would have loved to have seen us make retests and, close above that level. Even if we chopped above 25 for a little bit, that would have been a little bit more cause for cautious optimism. But because we're really struggling with this handle, despite the fact that, the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ have been doing exceptionally well, is also reasons for concern. But it may just be a really boring market where we don't necessarily get a retest of the lows, but we're not getting massive rallies. We can trade between 20 and 25 for a really long period of time, bore everyone to death, and then put in a really massive move. So don't want people to get overly excited and overtrade it, other than maybe looking at it as like a good accumulation pocket, especially if there's intraday volatility is quite high. But if you zoom out, it just looks like it's going flat, which it has been. It may be a good accumulation period.
Couldn't agree with you more. And I don't want to bang on about the macroeconomic environment. We all know nothing has changed. High inflation, increase of interest rates on the horizon, political issues, macroeconomic issues everywhere. But I just think that it was so interesting to see that when the latest CPI print came in, and it was just a fractional, slightly less than what it was earlier, that the whole market just exploded, basically. And
yeah,
it
it's
just
like
makes
things aren't as horrible as they are.
Yeah, it makes absolutely no sense. And I can only see that if these things progress and get worse, I mean, we're not even in the winter yet. And that's one of the massive issues with energy, will be when we have to heat our homes in certain parts of the world. And that hasn't even come. So, I mean, I personally really see that there's going to be opportunities to buy spot. There's going to be better priced assets towards the end of this quarter, towards the end of this year, and then maybe early next year. By the same token,
what kind of trades are you looking at now? If you are to be having this view? What are you looking at? How are you planning on trading it?
Look, I'm very much. I've taken the risky sides before. I don't have the stomach for it, to be honest with you. So I'm more of a safe. I'm more of a safe player. So I'm just dollar cost averaging ETH and Bitcoin every month, as much as possible. I'm keeping my eye on equities, which I think in the next 5, 10 years are going to be worth a lot more than they are today as we move into a Web3 environment with the internet. So I'm doing a lot of research on that part, looking in the public markets to see what's available, how are things priced, what's the upside. On top of that, I think there's a lot of blue chip NFT projects which are starting to look kind of interesting as well. You have Azuki under 7 ETH, you have Cool Cats under 3 ETH, you have Mutant Apes under 15 ETH recently. Obviously, there's a correlation between ETH prices and NFT prices. As the price of ETH goes up, people liquidate their NFTs to cash out, etc., things like that. But I'm just keeping my eyes on everything that I think had value 6 months ago and seeing at what point do I want to allocate my capital in there.
Nice.
It's just keeping your mind, managing those emotions and not getting caught up in the narrative of the rest of the market, and making sure you have some liquidity on the side for if everything does go to pear-shaped, that you can come in and you can buy those assets at really good prices, in my opinion.
Yeah, I hear you. Perfect. I love it.
So I'm trying to manage my emotions, basically. I'm an emotional wreck. No.
Oh man, you and me both.
So yeah, no, that's it. Anything else you want to wrap up?
Look, in terms of something I'm keeping my eye on recently is the ETH BTC chart. Obviously, Ethereum has led this most recent bear market rally. It's massively outperformed against Bitcoin, not just in dollar terms, but against the own pair, the ETH BTC pairing itself. So that's definitely one to be watching. Any sort of potential downturn is going to be exacerbated on the ETH BTC chart. Obviously, Bitcoin will go down in dollar terms if there is a downturn as well. But the idea is in up markets, Ethereum does tend to outperform Bitcoin, which it has demonstrated that it can do very recently, which we're experiencing right now. But in down markets, Ethereum also carries that high beta risk where it does outperform to the downside as well, and sells off more aggressively. So that's definitely one to watch if you are wanting to take a more of a bearish or bullish view. That's a market where you can express that risk a little bit more easily, especially if in dollar terms things can get pretty choppy. Whereas ETH BTC, they tend to it trends a lot more nicely, either up or down.
Interesting. Just to clarify for the audience, what you're saying is basically that you're betting with the positions, or your outlook is that the value of ETH will go down in comparison to Bitcoin, correct?
Yeah, I mean, in the short term, it's you're taking a contrarian view that because it's ran as hard as it has, and that it had majority of the mainstream or crypto narrative attention because of the upcoming merge, that prices have head higher. And of course, the merge is most likely going to be successful. I hope it is. The guys have been working, Ethereum Foundation and the team have been working on it for a very long period of time. So from a technical perspective, I hope it's successful. But I think that if you look at a lot of these known events, they often are buy the rumor, sell the news type of events. And again, not trying to say that this is what's going to happen now, but we got to look at history to see how these kind of events pan out. And known volatility events where there's some sort of excitement or a cause of excitement in the market, people buy the rumor, sell the news.
100%. And I was almost guilty of that today when we were having a chat before we went online. And I was telling you, I'm thinking of just buying a big spot allocation of ETH, running it up to the merge, and then selling it off. And you're like, buddy, we could have done that at 1,100, 1,200, 1,400. Don't keep chasing the trade. And I think that's one of the key things that I've learned in trading, the short time that I have been doing it and speaking with you about it, is do not chase the trade. Once the opportunity has been realized, look for the next potential opportunity. Don't try and chase the tiny little piece of opportunity which is left in what you should have done a month ago or 2 months ago or whatever.
And look, worst case scenario, if the opportunity did run up quicker than you could get in, always don't be shy of using limit orders. There, contact your broker or put it on an exchange, put that limit order in, because you don't know, you might just get lucky and get that order filled. So if you were really bullish on Ethereum at 1900 or 2K, and, you know, if you get the chance to get filled at 1,200 or 1,400 or 1,500, you know, and the prices come into that, and you were patient enough to get filled there, then that's not necessarily a bad thing either. You know, that you get rewarded for your patience. But then, you know, you have to try to control the FOMO. If it does run to 2,400, you're having to control that urge to jump in.
Big shout out to Bisher from StormRake. In the show notes, we're going to put a few links that you can click, and feel free to reach out to Bisher. He can offer you spot prices on all your crypto requirements. You can put in orders. I mean, tell us a bit about what you're doing now, Bisher. What can you help somebody with if they're interested in getting in this space and not necessarily using just an exchange?
Yeah, for sure. So what we are here to do at StormRake is to provide a full brokerage and custody service for our clients, so that they can buy, sell, and swap cryptocurrencies by simply sending me an email or giving me a phone call, and I can get their trades action for them. We can also provide custodial services as well as education on how to self-custody and how to safely self-custody as well. So that's part of our service, is getting people into the cryptoverse, you know, be focused on building a really robust crypto portfolio, and then how to be able to safely manage the custody of that, either with us or themselves.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much, everybody, for listening. Thank you again, Bisher. See you guys next week. And in the show notes, all the information that Bisher was talking about, including StormRake, who they are, the services, you can check it out. Highly recommended. Have a good one. Adios.
Thanks, Alex. Have a great day.